guys, customer test video, fresh out the plastic, 4-pill 2879C, Fatboy for Michael. He pre-ordered this, prepaid for it, this and a 100 amp power supply. His power supply has already been shipped. It came in before this. So we're going to ship out his Fatboy today. Green lights, green lettering. Again, 4-pill 2879C. This amp can take, I recommend, around 200 watts PEP. Some people will put 250 watts PEP into them or swing. Personally, I recommend 200. Now, obviously, if you're running lower on voltage, you can get away with more drive. So if you're going to run this thing at 15.5 volts, 16 volts, you know, you're probably going to want to put around 200 watts PEP into it, 175. Now, if you're going to run it at, you know, 14 volts, 13.8, something like that, you can get by with more drive. Excuse me. We're just going to drive it with the Cobra 29 Chrome with the RFX 95 on the back of it. Does around 100 watts PEP, 35 to 40 watts average. We just want to make sure that the amp is working before it goes out to the customer and producing a good amount of power. So we're testing at 14.9. Our radio and our amp run off the same power supply. So I had some goober a couple videos ago. He was like, oh, well, if they run at 15.5, 16 volts, how come you don't test them at that? Well, the reason I don't is because I don't want to cook the RFX 95 that's on this radio. And I don't recommend going over 15 volts with one of them. So if anybody's wondering why I'm not running this amp at 15.5, 16 volts, it's because the radio is running off the same power supply. Okay, that being said, let's just give it an audio and show what it draws here. It's going to draw more than 40 amps, guaranteed. Hello, audio. So 50s, high 50s, 56, 58 amps. It will draw more than that when you start driving it with something larger, particularly if you're running them off the same power supply. I would expect, you know, a small driver and this to draw anywhere from 70 to 80 amps on AM, maybe 65 to 80, and then 90 to around 95 amps on sideband. But this is not a sideband amp, so we don't have to worry about that. All right, so come over here to the watt meter. We got a 1,000 watt slug in. We're going to check average power first. We're looking at the bottom scale. What is that, about 170 watt dead key? Peak kit's on. About 150 or so. Hello. Audio, 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 hello, audio. Again, I always tell people average power can be kind of finicky depending on the tone of your voice, but 300 average, no problem. Hello. And with the right voice tone, you know, 350, 375. Now we're going to peak. We're still looking at the bottom scale. Keep in mind, guys, only putting 100 watts PEP, 35 to 40 average. So here we go with PEP, audio, 1, 2, 3, PEP, audio, 1, 2, 3. Almost 900, but safe to say around 850 or so on audio, and then just talking around 800 watts PEP. Again, we're under driving it. We're not driving it to max potential at all. I've seen these amps, you know, with the max drive, they do anywhere from 1,000 to 1,250 watts PEP. The standard 2879 is safe for about 800 to 950, in my opinion, and then you get about 30% more power adding the, or not adding, but rather using the 2879C instead. So if a standard 4-pill does 8 or 900, you know, you start looking at 11, 1,200, something like that on one of these. But doing good power with 100 watts in, nice run.